Indonesia's $80 billion mega wall to save Jakarta? This sounds super interesting and super cost intensive. We will check this out in the video today. Make sure that you subscribe our channel and push the like button. Yes, Bali Invest community, here we have this video from Mega Builds, Indonesia's 80 billion mega wall to save Jakarta. Jakarta is the main capital of Indonesia, for sure. The capital moved now to Nusantara. They built a new capital. We have already other video where I will speak about this, but I think it's super interesting. We will check this out together.
Jakarta is sinking, and it's sinking fast. For decades, the city's residents have faced a terrible choice: access to drinking water or being swallowed by the ocean. How did things get this bad? Hey, I'm your host Regis, and today we're going to explore why Indonesia wasted around $80 billion on two.
Oh, they wasted already. So this means like it doesn't work out. And yeah, for sure, from this problem I hear already a long time is yeah also one of the reasons why the capital moved now to Nusantara, because Jakarta is more and more sinking. And like we see already, sometimes the city or some parts of the city get flooded. It's a big issue, but we'll see if there's any solution to build a big wall to save the city. Sounds interesting.
Two nearly failed projects, how locals contributed to Jakarta's sinking, and if a massive seawall could protect the city from floods, or if it might be wiser to abandon ship and establish a new city altogether. Right now, the capital of Indonesia isn't exactly having its best days. In fact, it might be facing its last, as the flooding situation has spiraled out of control. Experts predict that by 20...
But I must say, also sometimes the same situation we have in Bali, even it's not coming from the ocean, it's just coming from the heavy rainfalls. But also here the government doing improvements, that there is more canals, that the water can flow better. Also in the last raining time this year, 2024, 2025, there was huge issues because heavy rainfalls.
2050, about 95% of North Jakarta might be submerged. And by 2100, it might go completely underwater. And this
is a strict timeline, yeah? I mean, now we have 2025, this is in 75 years, the whole city, and they're living like 30 million people all underwater. This is a huge issue, and we'll see how they're facing this problem.
Save both Jakarta and its people, the authorities came up with an idea to construct a seawall that would separate the capital from the big water. In recent years, Jakarta has faced severe flooding during the peak rainy season because of problems with infrastructure and water management systems. This situation got so bad that it's forced tens of thousands of locals to relocate somewhere else, if not permanently, then at least in January, when rainfall is at its highest. But the problems don't end there. The city's also sinking at a troubling rate of 7.5 to 14 centimeters per year. And ironically, the same locals...
Did you see that? I think we have to go back. Yeah, this is super extreme.
Rate of 7.5 to 14 centimeters per year.
Around 10 centimeters every year. All the city goes more down. Yeah, this is something where even a seawall cannot protect the city.
And ironically, the same locals are to blame for it. Jakarta is a concrete jungle, and its water supply system is really poor. Only about 1 million households, or about 25% of its population, have running tap water. The rest are left digging for groundwater, and as a result, they're over-extracting it, making the ground sink. Add up around 250 huge and surely very heavy skyscrapers that the city has, and you quickly start to understand why it goes down so fast.
This makes sense, yeah, for sure. They use the water from the ground. And for sure, when the water there goes less, then step by step everything goes down. It's a worst situation. Where's the solution? Where's the solution? This is always the question. Yeah? Also for all the entrepreneurs, yeah, we always have to search for solutions. Yeah, problems coming to us, but where is the solution? Yeah, this is where we have to shift our focus on.
Not only does the capital sink, but the sea levels rise as well, by around 0.5 centimeter annually. This water crisis combo cranks up the flood risk for the entire city. It's a vicious cycle. People need water, they dig for it, the ground sinks, they have to move, and then dig for even more water somewhere else. Back in 1968, there were fewer than 400 deep wells in Jakarta. By 1998, that number had skyrocketed to over 3,600, mirroring the population explosion. Jakarta is massive, with most of the people having to get really creative when it comes to water. No one really knows how many of these wells there even are now. Even the government has a hard time keeping tabs on all the hidden wells. The reason behind the secrecy is taxes, because while it's totally legal to extract groundwater, you still gotta pay for it. So those who have the means manage to drill their own wells, while the rest are stuck buying 40-liter jerry cans, spending about 20% of their income on water. Most people in Jakarta live on around $7 a day per household. With this money, they have to somehow juggle rent, utilities, and let's not forget food. Some can't even scrape this much, relying on rainwater for everything, from cooking to washing clothes. Now, some of these problems could be solved with a dam, but building a complete dam across the bay was not a realistic option because it would significantly harm coastal fishing. Instead, a partial barrier, similar to a breakwater, was proposed to lower wave heights from the sea by about 1.5 meters. That's right, it's finally time to talk about Jakarta's giant seawall.
Now I'm excited for this solution, the giant seawall, what they want to build. This is like a huge mega project. I personally am super interested in big infrastructure project like this. Also, I have already on my German channel talked about the big, huge infrastructure project in Sumatra. This was from all this mega project who finished in 2025. Was this the biggest one in Indonesia? So they definitely have the capability to build mega project like this. But for sure, the project also makes sense. No one wants to waste that huge amount of money.
This breakwater is part of a huge megaproject called the National Capital Integrated Coastal Development, or NCICD for short, and its main feature was a huge construction called the Giant Seawall along the coast. Initially, the seawall was planned to stretch 32 kilometers, and inside it, there would be big lagoons to help manage water from Jakarta's 13 different rivers. These lagoons would act like giant storage areas for water. If you check out the master plan, the giant seawall kind of looks a bit like a bird. It's inspired by Garuda, a mythical creature that symbolizes strength and is often shown with its wings spread wide.
Also in the new capital, the big building is also in this Garuda style, and I really like it. It looks really amazing.
Sometimes as a winged man. The original plan was pretty freaking ambitious. They promised a lot of new stuff, like tall skyscrapers, cable cars, wind turbines, and even a new airport. Now, since it's such a huge mega project, they have split the work into 3 separate phases. Phase A aimed to improve the current coastal protections by upgrading the existing dams and creating 17 artificial islands in Jakarta Bay. They kicked off this phase in September 2014, with construction set to start in early 2016. Phase B was all about building the west section of the giant seawall, planned from 2018 to 2022. Finally, Phase C would focus on building the east section, which should start after 2023. Now, let's get back to the giant seawall. Have they kept their word and met these deadlines? We're in 2024, so surely it's supposed to be pretty much ready by now, right? Well, not exactly. Only 13 kilometers of sea dikes and estuaries have been built so far, only about a third of what was initially planned. So what the heck happened? Well, there's...
Oh, okay, this means like the project is a failure, yeah? So even what was 10 years ago would have to be finished is not even done yet.
There's a few different reasons for this. For example, this project could make social issues worse in the area. Many fishermen would have been screwed, as for them, fishing is the only way they can feed their kids. So people were urging the government to find a fairer way to handle Jakarta's water problems. But that's clearly not the key reason, unfortunately. The project has been on hold for a few years due to other reasons, like changes in leadership, lack of investment, and good old bureaucracy. The authorities have...
Yeah, I also would say that the focus was for sure more on the main capital, to building the main capital, and there they have made big steps forward. The government area is already finished to build, and now it's going into the next phases. Maybe there was more the focus, but maybe they will talk about it.
Also been looking to move the capital city to an entirely separate place in Indonesia. Recently, though, the current government has shown new interest in the same old project. They're now aiming to finish the phase of building coastal barriers by 2027. But originally, they also wanted to build 17 artificial islands, remember? So what happened to those? If you take a look at how the coastal area of Jakarta was planned with the man-made islands, you may mix it up with Dubai's islands. Yeah, from the outside, man-made islands like those in Dubai look super fancy and luxurious, but the truth is quite different. There are some...
We cannot compare Jakarta, who is completely different, with Dubai. And I mean, in Dubai they don't do it for the sea protection. In Dubai they do it because they want to attract tourists and they want to make it more popular in the world.
Huge problems hiding under the surface here. Most of these famous islands in the United Arab Emirates, made from sand taken from the seabed, are actually sinking because the soil has become really weak from being eroded by the sea. Because of this, many parts of them are now nearly deserted. For example, Palm Jumeirah is sinking around 5 millimeters every year. The wave breakers aren't tall enough to stop erosion that's eating away at the islands faster than anticipated. And it's not just the land that's affected either. The construction is also messing with marine life in the waters around them. That's why a lot of environmental experts, activists, and fishing communities weren't happy about the Jakartian project and tried to stop the construction of the artificial islands. And as it turns out, the actual development has problems of its own. For example, 3 out of 17 islets named C, D, and G had a number of violations. There was even a corruption scandal that eventually ended up in a prison sentence for the city councilor who had been bribed for turning a blind eye to issues with the reclamation project. However, after a brief government ban on the reclamation project in 2016, work on all 17 islets restarted at the end of 2017. Well, that didn't stick around for long either. There was an avid critic of the project, Anies Baswedan, the Jakarta governor from 2017 to 2022. When he won the elections in 2017, some people were sure his success was thanks to his anti-Garuda stance. True to his election promises, he did revise the whole project, and out of the originally planned 17 islands labeled A through Q, there remained just 4, islets C, D, G, and N, meaning he canceled permits for 13 islands.
Okay, this was also political issues that the government from Jakarta said he cancelled this, and for sure, if you want to make a huge project like this, everything have to work together. And also, like I said, environmental activists was against this. This was bad for the local fishing community, where it's the only way to feed their families. For sure, there's many aspects what you have to respect, especially in a huge city where so many millions of people live.
Surprisingly, the reclamation of these 4 islands was actually already finished, and Anies wanted to make these islands useful for the people of Jakarta. As Anies himself put it, we will prepare them for the public interest. By the end of his term in 2022, most of the NCI-CD projects had come to a standstill, and currently there aren't a lot of details about what happens next. As you can see, there's a lot of back and forth for this megaproject. At the same time, the Indonesian government has started building a new capital city from scratch, Nusantara, and it's not even in Java. While Jakarta is a concrete jungle, the Nusantara region is where the real lush jungles are nestled in Borneo. The choice of location may appear controversial at first, but it ticked all the boxes for a new capital. Think minimal seismic activity, no tsunamis and volcanoes, plus the added bonus of having a maritime port. And even though it wouldn't be immune to flooding, because heavy rains can certainly bring floods on, it would fare much better than Jakarta in that regard.
Yeah, this is a good question for you also as a community. What do you think about this project? Does it make sense to do it? If they not do it, what will happen with Jakarta in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Will really all the city sinking? It will be like horrible for all the families who are living there. So definitely the government have to search for a solution. It will be interesting. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe our channel and we see us soon in one of the next videos.